Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm, back in the park getting theorems. Movement exists, movement creates sound, sound is consistent because movement is consistent, and we're deriving a physical law based off of words, right? Without movement we would not have sound, but we do have sound, and because we have that sound we can work backwards and figure out a physical axiom. That is sensorality. We've developed our mathematics. It is what it is the general form of all solutions. In the same way you go into math class and they say, approximate this form of the solution and then plug in functions or whatever and try to calculate your answer. That's what we're doing with words. So we've already proven the axiomatization of speciality. And you might say, what is speciality? It's literally special with ITY at the end. But what we've done is we've worked out all of the logic in which you use or all of the context in which you say the word special. And we've completed that word family. And so now we're working on to another word family, which is represented by the specific solution, sensorality, which is again, just a collection of syllables, like all words. And we've proven that what is fundamental about language is the syllables, not the actual languages themselves. And so, sensorality, we're figuring out, it represents anything for censorship, right? If you type in the word censorship right now, it pops up with a C. But if we choose to do something, right? I have senses with an S, I have sensation with an S, I have sexuality with an S, I have sensuality with an S. So we're showing that sensorality, when you censor something by a conscious choice, it starts with an S. And when you censor something, when I drop my notebook and it hits my leg and it falls over to the ground, strictly obeying physical law, that is censorship with a C. In the same way you put a quarter into a machine and it can filter out if it's a quarter or a dime or a nickel. And so that is what we are doing, showing you all the context in which these different words are used. Because language is like horseshoes and hand grenades. If you're close enough, most people will get what you're saying. But we're trying to make it more specific. You go into a discipline, you have a specialty, right? Speciality, specialty. You can speak more specifically about a given topic. So what we talked about last time is we didn't differentiate the three uses of right. Right as in validating correctness, right as the opposite of left, and then right as a ceremonial right, which is really the correct linguistical representation, RITE, for your constitutional rights or your humanitarian rights or any sort of ceremonial right. So moving on. Speciality is spontaneous. Spontaneous, spontaneity, right? Girls say, again, I'm a straight male for all you viewers out there. But if your romantic partner might say, I want somebody who's spontaneous. It doesn't really matter why they say that, but again, that's what makes you special, right? It's just showing you connection to these different words. So what is spontaneity? Because they'll say in physical context, spontaneous combustion. Does spontaneous combustion exist? No. Because what is it? Well, spontaneity is random. But is anything truly actually random? No, because everything is not touching, but everything is connected, right? Your electron in your foot is not touching the electron in the ground. It's just connected, right? It's not actually bonded. And the electrons are not physically making contact. So spontaneity does not exist because randomness does not exist. Everything is physically connected. And so that's a big thing, but everyone knows that randomness doesn't exist. Again, talking about known ontology. Sensorality determines inertality, right? If something is inert, it is inactive. It doesn't react with something else. Sensorality is activity. Activity activate. Sensorality activates. To activate is to initiate. Activity, utility. Sensorality utilizes speciality. Speciality is our natural tendency to differentiate for sexual antagonism, to make yourself unique, wear a different color, fun haircut, maybe get a tattoo, get a different job, study a different subject. It makes you different. And so in sensorality, we haven't gotten to the final form, but it's what makes us the same. And so where were we at? But sensorality utilizes speciality, right? Life benefits from differentiating. Sensorality. Sir, right? Hello, sir. How are you doing today? Sir, stir. I'd like to mix my pot up. Let's stir it up. To stir is to mix. To mix is to blend. Speciality is ritualisticality. Right? If you're ritualistic, you're special. If you have a special right, you're special. Just said special too many times. But again, it's like I've said before, it is hard to demonstrate the consistency of language and the irreducibility of language because you're already functioning on that. I'm just pointing out these little cracks that you've probably never thought about, but you're already operating at a level where all of these things you already intuitively do, you just haven't thought about them. In the same way, everyone can drive a car, or a lot of people can drive a car, but not everyone that can drive that car can build the car. I'm just showing you how the car is built, but you're already intuitively functioning on everything I'm saying. And so, speciality is ceremonious. Vicious, viscous. So again, connecting, anytime I just say two words together, those are called dichotomistic pairs. Just two words that are clearly related linguistically or logically. Linguistics meaning the letters that represent the sounds, logically meaning the progression of those words. And so clearly vicious and viscous, but again, I'll stop identifying those, I'll just say them, because the logic will be preserved and the sound, you'll be able to hear the base word being transmitted. But speciality is vicious. Subject, suspect. Suspect, respect. Speciality, suspects. Sensorality, respects. Again, another word, we're using, again, speciality and sensorality, these collection of syllables, to differentiate. Remember, clearly everyone knows there's a difference between respect and a suspect, but what is it? And linguistically, they're very clearly related. Moving on. Faculty, specialty. All right. If you have a specialty, your specialties. Quick little fun story. Again, I'm from Columbus, Ohio, 32 years old. So if you ever played, and I grew up in the Columbus Catholic League, again, I'm not religious, not really in a religious community, just that's kind of the tradition around me. But when we would play basketball, we'd play grade school basketball, and you would go in there, and before each game, you would read a prayer. And as a little fourth grader, fifth grader, sixth grader, whatever, you're up there and all eyes are you. You have to read a whole paragraph in front of people, and you're really nervous. And so for whatever reason, when people are nervous or anxious or in front of a room, they say more, they stutter more, they lose their train of thought. It's a performance act in addition to actually presenting a logic, a business meeting, grant proposal, construction plan for architects, whatever. But public speaking is this thing where it puts pressure on you and it affects your language, obviously. And so when we were a little fifth grader, we would have this line in that prayer before the game that would say, you thank all of the people that help you. You'd say, thank you for all of the facilities that we enjoy. And naturally, everyone out there, if you're a part of this community to any extent, you know exactly what word I'm going to say, right? Everyone mixes it up and says, thank you for all the faculties we enjoy, right? A faculty is a specialty, right? You might say faculty as a noun, like at a school or a group of people. But if you've differentiated, that's your faculty, right? You'll say, I have mental capacity, I have faculty, I have agency. So faculties are specialties. And the evidence, why it's so richly cool, or not cool, but just like evident, is when you're a little kid and the eye's on you, people like naturally switch to that and they always mess it up to the right word. But it's not the right word because, like you said, facilities is the right word. If you have a facility like a gymnasium, that's a facility. But it's like, for whatever reason, they naturally divert to fundamental ontology, and faculties are specialties. And so that was always interesting, especially the first time I saw that, but that is true if you're in the dioceses in Columbus, Ohio, or anywhere else. I don't know how uniform it is, but when people messed up and all the kids said, all the faculties we enjoy, instead of all the facilities, that's why. Because they're a dichotomistic pair, faculty, facility. Right? Faculty facilitates competency. Faculty facilitates differentiation. Sensorality is capacity. And now again, we're making differentiations with these oppositions. Again, we've shown out how some things are opposite, naturally opposite, not completely opposite, not really sure what's going on there. We've described this negation function. How do we say no to something? We assert existence, then we say not that thing. We do that with no. In English, we do that with no. We do that with not. We do that with prefix a or un, anti, con, stuff like that. And so there's this negation function to language, and there's clearly this iteration function to language. And so speciality, when we have this axiomatized, we're getting sensorality to encompass all of known ontology effectively. It doesn't solve all of known ontology, but you have to show and demonstrate how all of these words relate to everything that's already known. And so sensorality has to encapsulate the definition of speciality, which is axiomatized as the differentiation for sexual antagonism. And so we have to refine that definition to give us our finalizing definition for sensorality. And we're solving, because all of our definitions are open, all words are related to other words, we are solving sensorality with a C. What is in the past is set, it cannot change. And we have past tense in language, so we have to connect two past tense words to show that it's already like solved, already complete. And we're just demonstrating this consistency of language. Sensorality is ethicality. Ethics are morals. Morality is sensorial. Right? That's another word form of this word family that you use and you'll see. It'll be spelled C-E-N-S-O-R-I-A-L. You just need to put an S on that. Right? The rock on the ground, it doesn't have a cerebellum. It's not censorious with an S. And so we personify objects and we objectify people. We're just flipping it. But sensorial, the physical phenomenon, like if you're thinking or when something goes wrong, or when something shit hits the fan, or when you personally do something wrong, you know you are doing something wrong. Anybody out there says they're otherwise is lying to themselves, go fuck yourself. So there's a physical phenomenon. Again, because of efficiency, it's not right to be wrong, and to be wrong is to be inconsistent. Not morals, just not doing something that's productive. You know it, you're aware of it. And so that's what that feeling of sensoriality in your head is that. But you also feel sensorial again if the moment of realization, when something clicks and that light bulb moment goes off and all of the pieces fit together, it's sensorial. If you study something really hard and then you have it's not a headache, but like you can feel physical pressure in your head, that's sensorial. And so, again, it's just when you see that form of the word, people, again, will use it with a C, and they'll use censorship with a C, but it's supposed to be spelled with an S. And so that is what this proof will establish, and then all of the things that we've built up into here will be back validated as true. And I've already done this whole process. And so, but sensorial is cerebral cerebellum. How does sensation relate to morality? And we just said, and it's very apparent, you know when you are doing something wrong. What is sensationality? What is sationality? Right? What is sation? Satiate. Right? Speciality is insatiable. Sensorality satiates. To satiate is to be satisfied. Sensorality can be satisfied. Speciality is sensational. Sensorality is mundane. Right, you have somebody out there in the business world that always wants a hashtag grind on LinkedIn, let's go hustle culture. It's like, chill out, dude. But that's speciality. That's the insatiability of progress, of social status, of financial reward, whatever. Again, not good, not bad, just is. Monotony is mundane. Mundane, banal. Sensorality is boring. Boring is the opposite of soaring. Right? If you're soaring, the crowd's going crazy, you have a lot of momentum. Momentum is proportional to soaring. If the birds take off and they're soaring high, right, you're accelerating, you're moving forward. So last time we talked about how, and previously, that if you have any sort of categorization where you have an exception, but this I before E, except after C, this but not that, we have three primary colors, then 3 secondary colors, then 45 colors, and 65 million colors. That's proliferation, that's speciation, that's differentiation, past utility, past what is fundamental. And so when we have acceleration, right, the natural opposite is deceleration. That's not a proper description of increasing versus decreasing. And so momentum soars. Momentum is soaring. And that is the opposite of boring. But momentum is proportional to acceleration. And we've miscategorized the starting and stopping. Right? Acceleration is the change of direction or the magnitude of velocity. No, it's just a miscategorization of rhythm. Acceleration is derivative from rhythm, or what is the relationship of acceleration and rhythm? Rhythm maximizes efficiency, so rhythm maximizes acceleration. But the presence of saying acceleration is both increasing and decreasing is evident of miscategorization. And so we're at the very, very tip, because again, just the tip, but Newton certainly had the most intuition out of any physicist. People can debate it, but there's really no debate. And yeah, that's about it. So that is it for today. Again, I'm making a YouTube video, so I'm showing you these steps. I've done this process in its entirety. I hope you learned something along the way. Not every single day is 14 million proofs, and we are at the end of sensorality. So hopefully this big mumbo jumbo theorem will pop out soon, but can't rush the theorems. But then once that happens, what happens is this whole process starts over. And so, but we can make big intuitive jumps. Again, the past 4 months has been an absolute tear in mathematics. But like I said, I've already done this process. None of this is new to me. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.